Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one-word conversations. Now, this show is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place where you can be yourself and live your life. One of the things from IamWilliamBrown.com that I spotlight is our Hue cards. The U cards come in three kind of areas: the I am, the you are, and the quote card. So I typically pick a U card to set the intentions for this conversation. And my I am card is I am purpose. My you are card is you are enough. And my quote card is be you, do you, for you. So, hey, intention set. Now, I would like to introduce the word that we have been using this week. It is community. So, let's see how the word community comes up within this conversation. Now, as I do, I will invite my guest in and we will have a conversation. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Roxanne Oates. I am the owner of Roxanne Oates Consulting. I have been serving coaches in the digital marketing space since 2013. And now I'm focusing on building campaigns for solopreneurs to help them get more discovery calls and build their email list as well.
Wonderful. So, how does the word community land for you?
For me, there's a couple of things that pop up. Support is one.
Okay.
Something else too is kind of like having each other's backs, like looking out for each other is really a part of a strong community. So those are the two things that like immediately popped up as soon as I heard community.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's the same thing. Support does show up. It's like the I don't know why The Godfather just came up. It's like it's like no one messes with the family. I'm sure that type of thing that you just really kind of go with that, and it's like feeling that I didn't have that. There's a large part of my growing up that I felt that I didn't have that support or that I guess that ride or die mentality type of thing. I don't know. All these gangster things are coming up to me. I am so like calm. I'm like, it's like all these things are coming up for me. But it just feels like that there is, a group of people that can just go after some things and kind of support you in doing that is how community shows up for me.
Yeah, I also think like supporting each other too. I think of like a Facebook group, like as owners of Facebook groups, we don't want it to necessarily just be dependent upon ourselves. We want the community to help each other out and to support each other. So that's another aspect that kind of popped up in my mind too.
Yeah, and I think I do some work with solopreneurs too, and the main reason why I work primarily with solopreneurs is because there was this report that I read that said that some of the most unaware or personally or self-unaware people in an organization is the executives. And which I was like, yeah, that's true. I've seen that. I can totally get that. And so I said, okay, if because I'm a solopreneur, the more that I know more about myself, the more that I can show up fully in my work. So I want to be able to do that for other solopreneurs so they can basically create something that feels good to them. And I think within that, the question that's coming together around community or around is, how do you think solopreneurs make community and also stand alone, right? Just really kind of get that, hey, I don't want to say I'm in this by myself, but um, embrace the support of others, and also be okay with doing this all themselves.
Well, I would have to say, standing out on by yourself is just a way to differentiate yourself, right? Especially in the coaching industry. There's certain classifications that people can come into, but I think being willing to say this is how I'm different, being willing to stand out is how as a solopreneur you're going to need to do that. You're going to need to stand
Right,
out amongst other people that do the same thing that you do. But when it comes to community, you can have like a mastermind, you can be in a coaching program yourself, right, in order to know what's going on and to improve your skills. So that's a
right,
way where you can receive community as well. So you can have kind of like the best of both worlds. You can stand out and be by yourself, but you can have the support of your peers who can help
right,
you get to your vision.
right. No, I get that, but I guess real talk. Sometimes it's like it's that mentality of you want to have all, I'll speak for myself. I want to have all my stuff together before I like connect to anybody, right? And not really wanting to let people know that, hey, I'm doing this great business here and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But I think it goes back to what you're saying before about, support. So
Hmm.
how do you, so I'm trying to balance how I can, own that, hey, I need to get my stuff together on one level, but at the same time, be able to create community with people or with peers that recognize, or I will admit that I don't have all my stuff together and just kind of go, to go from there. So it's that balancing act. And is that a community or is that group session or something, right? Therapy is very fun.
Uh, well, but a group session can be community, right? It doesn't have to be
Right,
like a large group of people. It could be a small group and you're all in the same, and that's where that trust comes in, a couple of things, because it's like that trust to come in to be vulnerable and to
right,
say, this is where I'm at in my business. I don't have everything together. Most businesses don't. They
right,
don't have everything
right,
together, even if it looks like it on the outside. On the inside, it's always a different story. I've been behind the scenes of many different types of businesses and I've seen a lot of different things. So, I just think it's that whole mindset that you're saying is feeling like we have to have everything together, we need to have everything in order, and we really don't. We just need to find a people that we can trust, that can say, and where we can be vulnerable, and this is where I'm at in my business, this is where I want to be. Let's you can everyone can contribute in a way that where it's helpful and you feel like you have that support. So
do you think that um, do you think community finds you or do you actively look for community? i'm just
I think
i'm
I've
just curious
actively
about
looked
that.
for, in my opinion, I would say you have to actively look for a community, because I think if you're
Got it.
invisible, you're not talking to people, even networking, you're not going to find a community. Like no one's going to be able to know who you are to even find you. So I think
Gotcha.
you either have to put yourself out there or you have to actively look for people in order to find that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's sometimes that I label myself an introvert, and so
Me too.
sometimes my networking experience have been, let's just say, a mixed bag, right? And so it feel like, okay, this is it that I want to connect to. This is the flyer and some people that I met there, in other places. So this is the place to go. And then I go there and it's like, yeah, this ain't my people, right? Right? You know, it's like that type of thing, and it's and I've questioned: is there something that I said that caused people to believe that this was my group, my community, or is it what was it the expectation that I had of them
Mm.
that that caused me to kind of you know I'm one of those put your eggs in all the eggs in one basket type of thing. It's like I'm all in, right? And then it's like, oh
Mhm.
crap, give me my eggs, right? Right? Type, type of thing. And so it's just trying to. It's like I get about being out there, but at the same time, it's like I guess being okay with saying, this ain't my people, and just keep it moving.
Yeah, definitely like make sure we're true and authentic to yourself. Like I'm an introvert as well. So that's something that I've had to work with, like putting myself out there and just networking. I mean, there would be certain events I would go to and I was the flower on the wall. I didn't talk to
Right.
anybody.
Right.
I went to the sessions and I was like, this isn't gonna help. Like I need to do something. I have to get out there. So like I just started to anytime I'm at an event and I just hi, what are you doing? Just start asking questions and just talking. And some
Right.
people may want to vibe, and that's great, and some may not, and that's okay.
Right.
And I think it's okay with saying this isn't necessarily my group of people. Maybe we can mutually benefit somehow, some way. Just still trying to be open to whatever happens.
Right. Yeah. It's well, I'm thinking that I don't know. The one thing about finding a community and what do you think about building a community? And I think that's in some cases that's what with a part of my building, my business is all about is kind of finding the people that I serve that I am in service to,
Mm-hmm.
and putting that as your community. Is that um, if you're sometimes it feels like they are not my community. If you understand, I guess maybe there's just how I have a limited view of community, that if I'm creating it so I can, I don't want to say do business with them, but serve them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I the support level is like it's in reverse. Even though
Mm-hmm.
I learn from my coaching clients all the time, they'll say something. I was like, yeah, I never thought of that. And it's like, okay, so they are supporting me be a better coach and all that. But too often there still feels like, even in my building of community, there still feels like there is a community beyond that. And so is there like these multiple communities that we're in, or is this one big community, or is the goal to get to this one big community and just kind of be with that? I don't know.
I would say multiple because you're right. When you're building a community, generally you're being looked at as like the expert, even if you're not necessarily proclaiming yourself to be there, right? You're sharing
Right,
information, you're trying to serve them, so that helps you to look like the expert. So it is a little different because that is more one-sided. This is me pouring into you to help you to be better. Yes, you will give me some things as well, but the main objective is for me to pour into you. So I definitely
right,
think there are multiple communities because then there's other communities where it's the reverse, where we receive the support, and it's okay to have multiple. I think having like one community just seems like a black and white. There's no gray, there's no
hmm,
variation. It's just all or nothing. And it's like, well, we can mix it up a bit. We can have
right,
different types of communities that serve us so that we can serve other people.
right. And I've said, and I'm really starting to embrace that, because I in another conversation, because we've been having a week conversation around community. I mentioned that um, community was like right outside the door of my family, right? It is that was I didn't find community in my house because of a number of reasons. It's like I was just like the oddball, Yeah, it sounds surprising. I know I can see from your face right here. So I was looking for community outside. It was like right outside my door. And the fact that there were still not finding it, there was a part of me that felt that it wasn't possible. So I'm just like, sometimes we say to ourselves that, I'm just so odd, right? Nobody will totally understand me and all that kind of crazy stuff. But, that was a story that I told myself for a long time. But to really embrace that, yes, I can build community and I can be a part of multiple communities, and there's things, is something that it took me a lot longer than I care to admit. But because there was this level of resignation that, okay, I'm odd, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Keep it moving, right? But realizing that in order for me, what I've learned on my entrepreneurial journey is that anytime I've been up to something big, it has taken a community to do it, period.
Oh.
You can't,
Mhm.
if anytime I thought that I was going to just buy my way or just be the smartest person in the whole thing, it just didn't happen.
Mhm. And this makes me think about, as an introvert, I think a lot of times, people, there's like a negative connotation to it.
Right.
So internally, and we already kind of internalize things. So it's just kind of like we internalize that, we try and it doesn't work. And we're just like, that's not meant for us.
Right.
Community is not my thing. Let me go back into, my comfort zone and stay there. And I
Right.
think that just the really big important step is just accepting who we are, accepting that we're different and
Right.
embracing that. And I think that gives the confidence and the courage to say, okay, well, let me try this. And if this doesn't work, that's okay. Maybe I can just try again later at another time. But I just think really embracing that we are different and
Right.
not being afraid of it, I think helps with that perspective.
Yeah. And I think the other thing about the introvert thing, I don't know if it's introvert label or there's another one, is that one of my core values is being independent. And so really there is this knee-jerk reaction in me to make sure that if I'm in a group, I still show up and it doesn't come into this group think type of thing. It's not this, in my mind, mob mentality. Okay, now I'm a part of, this community. Now I have to think the way this community thinks. And not just like, because I'm fighting against that internally, because like I said, it's a core value.
Hmm.
I can see how that's a negative. It can be a negative in some situations when it comes to building communities and being a part of community. But in many cases, it's a positive because most of the times when I'm in a community, I'm one of those, hey, let's see what William thinks, because nobody is thinking like this, type of thing. So it's like honoring that independence
Hmm.
because he's probably in left field right now. So so let's kind of go from there.
But I think that's good that if we embrace that mob mentality, it's like then we're following along with everyone else. Like, I mean, if they
Right.
obviously believe in something that we believe in, then okay, sure. But just to join, just to believe the beliefs, like we need people to challenge that,
Right.
to challenge whatever the belief system is, because that's how change is just made overall. Or even like, how can we make this better? Or, it just
Right.
starts to really get things turning and thinking about stuff instead of saying, hey, everything is great and everything's fine because that's what everybody says, right? Having
Right.
that, we need people like that to stand up and say, I don't know about this. I think it's good that people look to you like that. And let's
Right.
see what William thinks.
Right. And I think the big challenge that I have within myself is that I I appreciate that many groups look to me like that, but at the same time, in the background, I'm like, I got to get out of here. It's like, this is like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because it's like, hey, this is, I think that there is also an underlying within all of us, that we want to belong. We were designed to belong. There's a belonging thread within us, right?
Mhm.
And so anytime that there's a disruption in that belonging, then sometimes I think we prematurely end things.
Mm.
And so I am trying to, I think what the balance is, and get a level of maturity in, to how can I be myself, right, in in a community, you know,
Mhm.
and stay myself,
Yeah.
and not that, it's yeah, that's the biggest thing that I work through.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's like be myself, but still want to feel like I'm a part
Right,
of community. Because I guess if you're always going against, but I mean, again, it's just I think it's good. I think how we label and how we say our things probably matters more than actually what we're saying, right? Because if we're
right,
like negative and all that, then
right,
no one's going to want to hear that. They're going to have a negative. But if you're like
right,
just challenging it in a way that is constructive and people can think about it, that's a good way to do it. But yeah, it is that struggle of trying to be myself,
right,
but still try to have people want to kind of gather around me, so to
right.
speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, I, my son and I would have, when he was a teenager, we would have many conversations with, saying, yeah, what you're saying may be true, but I don't like your tone. Right. It's like, and he's, cause it was just like, okay, the dad label is ain't having you talk that way.
I'm the
We're
same
gonna,
way.
yeah, we're gonna have to figure out another way that we share what's going on right now. And I think sometimes that comes up in community all the time, that someone, the truth teller, or someone that may have awareness of a different truth, or a different understanding of the truth, let's say that,
Mhm.
will just blast people, and then nobody can hear it, right? It's like, right,
Exactly.
it's like,
Yeah, and then no one wants to hear it. And I'm almost there. I have three kids. My oldest will be 12 this at the end of this month. So I'm
oh,
starting to be in that teenage phase where it's
oh
like,
boy.
I want you to express yourself, but yes, how you express yourself matters. I'm old school too. Like I couldn't do that to my parents. I had to talk to them a certain way. I had to
Right.
be careful. So that is
Well,
still ingrained and installed into me too. Like you better
right.
watch who you're talking to.
Look, I don't know about your house, but when I was growing up, I couldn't even think opposite than my mom, because my mom, it was like, my mom was like, I don't even think that that you're. It was like, whoa, 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 I'm not even. I'm, So it was just really. So I didn't even get to. I wouldn't even dare say some of the things that were going through my head, to my mom. So yeah, I really appreciate this. I mean, because there's a practical level to community, and to our business, and to what we're up to, and networking, and also to our communication. How we communicate within community really, I guess, dictates if we're be in community, right? Right,
Yeah, it's a good
right.
point.
Right, right? I mean, it's like, hey, I was in and I'm not now, and I don't know. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have said that, right?
Right.
Um,
And that's the thing, right? We don't want to have a space where people don't feel like they can be themselves either and they can
right,
express themselves. It's like I'm sure most of us want that, but it's just, again, it's just, I think how you say it just matters so much more than what you're actually saying.
right. Yeah, I totally get that. I think we could talk about this for hours, but
We
yeah, I
could.
think other things are right. I think other things could take us. Is there any other thing about community that you want to leave everyone with?
Really just, embrace being yourself.
Hmm.
Try to find others who, and the thing about community too, sometimes we feel like we're embracing ourselves, that we can repel others, and that's okay. It's okay
Hmm.
to repel others. That means they're not meant for us, and that's just clearing the way for the
Right.
people who are. So that would be my
Right.
word, or my thing to sign out with community is, don't be afraid to be yourself, because the people who are meant to be in your community one way or another will be there.
Wonderful. Yeah, I am. What I say, be yourself, live your life, and I think that's then everyone is better because of that. So, thank you very much. This has
You're
definitely been
welcome.
an honor. And yeah, I'll say we'll say our goodbyes in the green room, but
Okay.
this has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. Wow. How we communicate within community will determine if we're in community, right? That's the quote of the show. I think really, and I love how Roxanne said, be yourself. And we are a part of so many communities. Um, and I think what is missing in many communities is us. It's being ourselves. And I'll speak for myself that there has been so many places that I have been that I felt like I've had to be what they wanted me to be or what I thought they needed. But the more that I showed up as myself, the more that they got the benefit and I got the benefit of being there. This conversation was great, and I really appreciate exploring how community is showing up. I hope this conversation brought value to you. You can reach out to IamWilliamBrown.com if you want to have a conversation, have a complimentary introductory coaching session where you can be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Be blessed. Have a great rest of your day.